Gospel Media TV.
That's why you see many people today with reproach, because the heart is wrong. Sincerity, simplicity, purity of motive, these things are priceless in the equation of lifting. They are priceless. That's why I told you anybody can be lifted, but there are conditions. What is the quality of your heart? Number 2, you will hear some people when they sing, it will look like as they opened their voice, angels started trekking everywhere. Goosebumps everywhere in your body. So you even start seeing vision. And you now wonder what is happening. The heart. The heart. The heart. One of our friends the other time pointed at another person. I said, if that thing that is doing, that thing that is like this, then I'm wasting my life, because I can do 10 times of that. Okay, go and do it. Even if you can, then you understand that it's not the gift that lifted you. You understand it's not the ability that lifted you. The ability only becomes relevant when God sanctions it. If you meet some of the people who are in oblivion today and you start talking to them, they will just shake their head. That's a parable. They don't know how they ended here. Because when they check every other person God is using of a truth, they labored more than them. They prayed more than them. They fasted more than them. Of a truth, they even mentored some of them. But they don't know why. I'm telling you why today. The heart is wrong. Number 2, what are the qualities, the factors or the precursors that provokes lifting? Virtues. Virtues. There are certain character dispositions that if you don't have for your own good, God won't lift you. Why the heart is a factor that is in God's realm, virtue is a factor in your realm. If you don't have certain virtues for your own good, God won't lift you. You know what Paul told Timothy? He said, exhort not a novice. He said, else when he's lifted up, he will fall into the condemnation of the devil. That means he doesn't have the character to manage the realities at the top. So when God wants to lift men, he carries them through process. This is why we talk of process, because anything can take you up, but it will take character to remain up. And it's harder to stay up than to go up. So what God does is that he fortifies you with character and virtue, so that you don't appear like a shooting star and disappear overnight. There are many who shined for 10 years, for 5 years, for 3 years, and they disappeared as though they never existed. Not because the assignment is over, but they lacked the character and the fortitude to remain on the top. So when God is lifting men, one of the things he considers for the good of the man is that virtue must be kept. So he will carry you through a process, sometimes for 10 years, just to install one virtue. One. And you know, these virtues hold different weight for different callings. For example, if you are a prophet, the virtue of sincerity, the way God can train a prophet for 10 years just to manage sincerity. Because the guy flows by inspiration. He can say anything. And anything he says will bamboozle you. They are the easiest to merchandise spiritual giftings. If you are a teacher, God can take 10 years to teach you discipline and attention. Because you need to sit down to search. All the virtues are important, but callings put more weight on certain virtues. So when God wants to lift a man, he will never undermine process. Those of us who are looking for shortcut, if it is rising, there is no shortcut. God is the one who determines the seasons of your rising. But before those seasons come, he would have carried you through process. And the goal of process is to install virtues into you, so that when you rise, you don't go down in shame. God wants you to finish strong. Now, let me show you a few virtues that are high essentials in the equation of rising. Number one is humility. I know I mentioned it already, but I need to bring it out and zoom into it so that you see the significance. In 1 Peter 5 verse 6, it said, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exhort you in due time. In James 4:7, it said, when a man is proud, it's not Satan that fights him. In fact, Satan tries to lift proud men so that he will make a mess with their manifestation. So he said, when a man is proud, God is the one who resists him. James 4:7, God resisted the proud, but he giveth more grace to the humble. So when you want to rise, one virtue you can never undermine is the virtue of humility. Go check David out. You will see the difference between David and Saul. When Saul misbehaved before Samuel, Samuel wanted to walk away. Saul didn't care whether God was hot. He didn't care whether God was angry. What was Saul's attention? Don't leave me before these elders. The people are seeing. Respect me before them. You are at the risk of being rejected by God. You are interested in what the people are thinking. And when Samuel moved, Saul heard him and tore his garment. And Samuel said, this is how the kingdom have been torn from your hand. Today, the Lord has rejected you. Samuel wept for Saul all night. God refused. But you look at David. When David heard that God was angry with him, David tore his garment, fell down, poured ashes on his head, and he didn't bother what people thought. And God calls David the apple of his eyes. Forget all this packaging mentality that came from the West. Excellence is important, but don't make it turn you to a fake person. Pride has killed many people. There are people who cannot even say thank you because they don't want somebody to know that you helped them. Meanwhile, that road, they will still use it. And so the next time they come, you will now tell them, go and learn thank you. When you learn it, come back. And it may take 50 years. The undoing of the man at the bottom. Pride. Number two, virtue that is a God can never overlook is faithfulness and diligence. If you are not faithful, God can't. Remember I told you, lifting in the kingdom amongst other things is what? Responsibility. God cannot take the risk of committing his estate to your trust if he has not vetted faithfulness and diligence in your life. In Luke chapter 16 verse 10 and 12, the Bible told us it was raw. It said, he that is faithful in that which is least is also faithful in much. He that is unjust in that which is least is unjust in that which is much. Verse 12, it says, if you are not faithful in another man's business, who will give you your own? See, I work with many young people. Some of them very gifted. Oh, the way they think. If there's a problem, they just sit down like this. Before you know, they have brought solution out. But what is their problem? They lack faithfulness. They lack diligence. The same thing you correct them on, you will correct them for 3 months, they will still err. And I nod my head. Sometimes when I see them, I just pray for them. So that this level of skill, this level of creativity does not waste. Because I know if they don't change, they will waste. ask those who work with me here. As little as spelling, I see. Spelling. Oh, service is over. They didn't know what to do after service. Me who preached, I called their attention to it. As very little things. The other day I sat them down. I said, you are doing a fragment of this responsibility. I'm heading it. Does it not surprise you that I'm coming to correct you? Imagine the responsibility is 10. You are doing 1. I'm controlling the 10. And I can see the error in your 1. How then can you come to a level where God will put you in charge of 10? Little things. You want to go live? It's 2 minutes to going live. That the person is struggling whether the microphone is working. And I'm looking at you. Did they tell you 2 minutes ago that you are going to go live? And then you say, okay, maybe it's an oversight. Next week, the same thing happens. The other week, the same thing happens. And then you find them running, helter-skelter. What is the issue? They didn't charge the audio mic. And you knew from last week, we are going live today at this time. And I'm nodding my head. Meanwhile, this is a skillful person. This is a creative person. Somebody edits a video, uploads it, and then you are seeing error. That the moment you click the video, 5 seconds into the video, the error is glaring. And you are wondering, didn't you listen to it before uploading it? This is a 5 minutes video. He was too busy that he didn't listen. And you will make that correction for 10 months. Is that a man God will give a nation to? If you are not faithful, if you are not diligent, kill yourself with prayer, you won't rise. This is not a prophecy. It's a law of the spirit realm. It's a man who is faithful in little is the man who will be faithful in much. In Proverbs 22:29, it says, seest thou a man diligent in his business? It said that one, not every other man, that one will stand before kings and not before men. If you want God to lift you, go and vet your work. The little work in your care. Go and check it and find out the errors in it. That's why you won't rise. The day you become diligent and faithful to the little you have already approved yourself for the next level. Number 3 virtue that is never going to be compromised in the equation of lifting is obedience. Obedience. There are people, the moment it becomes an instruction, it becomes difficult. That's something they would have done 10 times. But the moment you say do it, there is a problem. Why must I be the one? Why is it always me? Who are you to tell me? They have 1,001 reasons why they won't. And when they are compelled to, they won't do it well as a statement that they were not happy. And they think they are making a statement to someone. Your future will answer you. I'm telling you, these are simple secrets, but these are the things that separate men into cadres. And unfortunately, some learn it at old age.